Welcome back to the channel, guys. This is Slight. Today we are going to fix the headlight. We are going to swap out the OEM headlight to an LP4, so Baja Designs LP4. Because I have the Harley-Davidson quarter fairing, right, or what they call the clamshell quarter fairing, I'm going to actually do this one slightly different. I have an LP6 on an 1100 that I will link in the description. I'm not sure which one I'm going to post out first. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take the fairing off. Once I take the fairing off, I do again have videos into how to do the actual fairing. I'm going to actually put the headlight to the fairing. I'm not actually going to have that to the brace on this setup. So slightly different. The 1100 will have a different setup, but with this, it just works better. Pretty much what we're going to end up having to do is rip that out first or take that apart. The LP4 is only technically a high beam. There's only one beam. So technically you need high and low, so I'm gonna have to figure something out for that. But that will be on a separate video. But as far as this goes, what I'm gonna do with this is I'm gonna take the bracket apart at the bottom, take that whole assembly out. I'm gonna take all of the, like the signal wires and stuff, go through the headlight on this. So I'm gonna move that aside, use some gaffer tape and kind of just put that away. And I'm gonna use the power to the Thunderbox, right? So you pretty much have to make a relay circuit anyways, because the OEM headlight wire is way too small for this. And you don't want to cause a fire, right? So we're going to take the bolt off back here, this one and that one, and then we can move this. I'm actually curious to see whether or not the bracket is the same as the 500 and the 1100. So I actually have a headlight from an 1100, so we're going to actually see whether or not it's the same bracket assembly. If it is, perfect, because then the bracket that I've made for the 1100 would work as well. So let's try that out. And then this is going to use an H6. So we're just taking this headlight off. So that's the clip. And then we just got to get inside here. So probably easiest way to do that is to take this fastener, that fastener, there's 4, take that cover up. Actually, that cover ain't gonna come off. The headlight assembly will come out, and that should be an H5. Let's just make sure. H5 it is. All right, so we're going to take this out, right? We're gonna take all the signals and stuff off, which is all of those 4 wires. So we're gonna take all these 4 wires off, and then of course the headlight connector itself, which is in here. There's felt tape there, so we're gonna get that out of the way. So that's the headlight. I'm gonna take this out. Okay, so now we're gonna try to see whether or not the 1100 actually fits. So we're gonna move this out of the way for the time being. Okay, so this is 1100, and good news, they're the exact same. So exactly the same. So perfect. That's good. So the bracket that I have for the 1100 is going to work for the 5 and 300 as well. Again, if you choose to end up doing this. Very straightforward. There's only 4 wires here. It's going to be high, low, running, and of course your ground. So we're going to end up checking that out, but we're going to clean this up a bit. We're going to change this up a bit. So pretty much the way it works is, if I were to actually have a high beam setup, I can do a different setup and actually put a relay circuit to it. Where this, I don't actually need to. I can use the Thunderbox because I really don't have anything going to it right now, minus of course the quad lock, but I can have it so then this is essentially, it takes in place of like a relay circuit. It's almost like a smart relay, and then when the ignition's turned on, it takes a couple seconds to give power to the Thunderbox, right? But then that would be my headlight, so my headlight would always be on. If I want to switch it so then it's like something that I can switch on and off, I could do that and run it off the high beam circuit. I would have to do a relay circuit to that. Now I did something similar to that in the 1100 setup. So if you want to look at that and give you options, that's the case. The unfortunate point to this one though is the LP4 does not have a high beam circuit, so I don't actually need to do that. If I was to hook up something else to the high beam, that would be a separate thing that I would have to do. So it has no relation to this aspect. So we will set this up pretty much by a power and ground coming from the Thunder box to the unit, and that's pretty much it, right? I don't need anything else. It's just power and ground to the headlight. So of course you have a bracket assembly. Now I'm gonna modify this and see what I can do to make this work. All of your hardware and instructions and stuff in here. And then of course you have your LP4, right? So nice little setup. It's pretty light, right? And again, this is a 3-pin, not a 4. The LP6 is a 4. Instructions, I'm going to put that over there for a second. You have your hardware. They have Loctite and stuff with them as well. That's for the bracket assembly and there's like 2 bolts on each side for the bracket. And then of course you have your pigtail setup, right? So your connector. And again, because it's only a 3-pin, they only give you 2, 3, oh no, they give you actually 4. Wow, they do actually give you 4. That's nice. Basically, you're going to put the wire together, you're going to push this through, and then it's going to lock inside the tab. And then once that's pushed in all the way, you push this in, it'll lock it. So the LP4 Pro Edition is what this is. You have the high beam, your amber backlight, and your ground, right? The LP6 probably would have been a better option for this, but it won't fit. The LP4 will fit better in this fairing, just a little bit smaller, right? It's 4 inches instead of a 6. Basically, they give you a bunch of information on it. Again, biggest thing they stress is you're going to want to use 14 gauge single light for power source, right? 14 gauge wire. Wiring 2 12 gauge from power source, 14 gauge for split junction, right? So there's a couple different options that you can do. I'm going to run this without an actual relay circuit at this time because I don't actually need it. It's going to come right off the battery for this setup. Looking from the back side of it, it gives you what pin it is. So 4, 3, and 2. Top one's a no-go, right? So again, connector side 4, 3. That's 1 and 2. And if you look, you're probably not going to be able to see that, but it actually says it 4, 3, 1, and 2 on the actual unit itself. We're going to actually do in the ground, and we're going to do the power, and we're just going to run that to regular wire at this point. And then we're going to grab the light from the unit, from the regular OEM harness for the running lights, and that's going to be the backlight, the amber backlight. So there's a couple ways to do this. So you can literally put it in pretty much backwards. So put it in backwards, and then once it's clamped in the top, you flip this basically upside down, and then you're clamped. That way you actually have 2 clamp sides, and you can't pull it out at that point, right? So let's grab some pliers. Okay. So ground is going to be number 2. We're going to now do the power side. Same thing, right? Okay. So the high beam signal would be 4. So we're going to put that in here. Okay. And then the last one's going to be the amber. I'm going to use, they say it's 16 gauge, but I'm going to use another wire, and then I'll tie it in afterwards. Okay, so. Okay, last one. All right, and then from the back side, it says this one here is the markers, or sorry, the amber backlight. Okay, so you squeeze that in, then we're just going to push this back up and inside. That way it's watertight. Okay, so we're now going to wire this up to the actual bike itself. So again, power and ground goes to Thunderbox. This goes to just a running light. All right, so basically what I did was I used the running light over here. We're gonna end up putting that, that's off the headlight, right? So then I'm gonna have running, it's like the backlight that they have. Then you have your power and ground. Those two I have running underneath the tank and then into the Thunderbox. So when you start the bike, it's going to give it a couple seconds and then I'm going to have power. Now with the Rebel or with most bikes, you're going to have the power or the headlight on all the time anyways, so it's just going to be on all the time. And then it's going to have the backlight is going to be ignition signal, so therefore if I just turn the ignition on, that's going to be on. I will never have my headlight on unless the bike is actually running, and that way there is no draw for when I start the bike. We are going to show you how I set up the fairing itself. It's taken a little bit of time, so I did that off of camera, but I will show you exactly how I did it. So this bracket here, that is the bracket that comes with the actual light itself. I also got an amber cover as well. That's the side note. But the bracket itself, I cut it in half and then I did 2 inches. All right, not 2 inches. So I did 20 millimeters on each side, okay? Then I ended up using these little brackets here. Okay, I opened them up a little bit so then the fastener would go through. So as it sees, it doesn't go through right now. You just open it up a little bit. And then of course I use a locking washer, right, or a nut. Okay, so the bracket comes up in here, okay? And then I have the L bracket up top and the one at the bottom. I drilled 2 things in the side on both sides. I did one, then I matched the other side, so it would be exactly the same. And then, yeah, so there's still adjustment here, so I ended up moving that back and forth. I can adjust it up here as well because it's using the bracket itself. So there is a little bit of adjustment, plus you also have adjustment in the fairing as well. So that's just kind of a quick once over of how I ended up setting this up. So we're gonna end up putting it on the bike. I do have a video on how to actually do this fairing. I will link that in the description, but pretty much you just have to plug in that unit and then we'll set this up. Okay, so that is the, see whether you can see it, there you go, yellow LP6 or LP4 from Baja. So basically when you turn the ignition on, you're gonna have the running lamp, right? So it's all amber, right? When I start it up, I'm gonna have to turn this away because it is actually pretty bright. So a couple seconds in, and there you go. The power of the sun. Couple seconds off, and then it'll turn off. And that's it. So inside, it's kind of a little tight in there, but it works quite well. I had to move the headlight in a little bit because the connector was actually touching the stem portion of it. So anyways, so we are going to close this one off. Anyways, a huge thanks to the Patreon supporters for making this actually possible. Actually, one of the Patreon supporters sent me this actually. So very, very cool. I do appreciate you, Stephen. Thank you very much. If you do want to help support the channel, I do have a shop. Link will be in the description. The Patreon also will be in the description. I have both of those links going to be the first two. So if you do want to support the channel, that is an option. I do appreciate that. If not, like and subscribe is perfectly fine. That is the Baja LP4 on the 500. So it does give you an option. There are probably better options if you want a high and low. I will just find a setup that I can actually make work, and I'll update that if I need to. But the LP6 is actually on that bike there, and that's the 1100. So the LP4, LP6, and that has a high and low over there, where this is technically just a one single beam, pretty much a high beam essentially. I've set it up so then it's actually facing down, that way it's not blinding people. Yeah, so anyways, if you do like the channel, if you like this content, give me a thumbs up, like and subscribe, and until next time guys.